Now, nevertheless, this whole story is not about the fish, nor is it even about Jonah, but this whole book is about the sovereign God, as Jonah calls him, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. About him is this whole story. And this God, the God of heaven and earth, who made the sea and the dry land, he saves Jonah from this hopeless situation. He saves him not from the fish, as it is often believed, but he saves him by the fish from the consequences of his rebellion. Consequences brought about by God, who also brought about the fish. Look closer what Jonah says in verse 1 of chapter 2. I called out to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. Not out of the belly of the whale I cried. He says, not out of the belly of the fish I cried, but out of the belly of Sheol. The word Sheol can mean the place where the dead go, death, or even grave. It could even mean hell. You see, the storm and the sea are the threat, and not the fish. And it continues, for you cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas. And the flood surrounded me. All your waves and your billows passed over me. This is the threat. Not the fish, but the consequences of Jonah's own rebellion against God. The storm, the sea, and the threat of drowning in the dark waters. That is the threat. God appointed the fish not as another threat, but for Jonah's salvation. Just like our salvation, if you think about that. Just like our salvation, where God saves us from himself, from his own judgment in Jesus Christ. Have you ever thought about that? In our salvation, God does not save us from Satan. Satan is by far not that powerful. In salvation, God saves us from himself.